Hi, I'm Vicki Westling with City Speaks. City Speaks is a show that's here for the residents, for the city of Dunkirk. For those of you who want to know what's going on in our city, our administration, in our area, what kinds of things do we have to offer, this show is for you. And today we are so pleased to have the president of JCC, Mr. DeMarte. Dr. DeMarte, I should say, right? So welcome. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
One of the things and there's a whole list of questions, and I know that we're going to take every minute of today, but one of the things, your motto or your logo, when I went out on your website, it says, "Come as you are, leave as you want to be." Mm-hmm. I really find that inspirational. Who came up with that?
I noticed that clever tagline as well, although they probably would like it that I called it a tagline. I asked the same question because it resonates, I think, with our students in the community. We have a dynamic marketing team, and I think it was an outgrowth from the marketing team, conducting focus groups and going out to the community. Yeah.
It just really resonated with me, and I thought that was really inspirational for our young people who come into JCC. Mm-hmm. And Mayor Rosas has spoken so highly of you, and he's been involved certainly with some of the things that have been going on with Jamestown Community College here in the North Campus. So tell me some of the things that are happening. How can the city, or what could the city do to help partner with JCC from an awareness factor, and also to kind of build it up, the growth of it?
Sure. So I've had the occasion to meet with the mayor maybe 4 or 5 times since I've been here, and I'm still getting to know him, but I very much like working with and getting to know the city of Dunkirk and some of where his energy is coming from in terms of helping to meet the needs in the north end of the county. I think that there's lots of opportunity from what I've seen at this stage in my 8 months here. Some of it entails, I think, joining the conversations around the future of the city and the planning that's going on. It's helpful to have the college have a seat at that table and help think through and plan ahead the role that we can play in helping bring about some of the changes that are occurring and to help support them. But then there are other things that I think would help beyond just being involved in the planning. The campus itself, I think the city could help us build the awareness that you mentioned, help us connect with the community better in terms of what it is that we offer, help with the advertising perhaps in some of the signage downtown. I've had conversations with the location of the North County campus, or the center, I should say. I'm not sure where we need to be. I'm not sure we're as accessible as we could be in our current location.
Let me ask you, would there be an opportunity to maybe have a satellite or an off-site campus downtown?
That's the conversation that we've begun, and the mayor has offered to help us figure out, by running a course or two, perhaps initially, whether or not there's enough interest and demand that we should consider more of a presence downtown than where we are currently.
Well, I know that there are a lot of people who might be willing to participate in that, and I know at JCC, one of the things that you do, your curriculum is really it's very diverse, obviously, but it really is geared. Every single course that I have been associated with, and of course, and I taught there for a while, that you have a mix of the young people, and then you also have the older people who are going back to finish their college education. So I really believe having a place downtown would be beneficial, and I think people would do that. Let me share a story with you. I recently met with our Dunkirk Lady Marauder bowling team. And these young women are so bright. They have their average GPA is 94.7, I believe she said. But one of the things I said to them, I said, what are some of your goals? What are you guys doing? They're already taking courses at JCC. They're in the AP program. So they're taking courses at JCC. And I said, what do you think of it? When you graduate from high school now, you already have these courses under your belt. Are you going to go on to JCC and get your associates and then move on? Yes, we love it. Wow. So there are students who are actually participating today at the high school level. what are you doing, and what can we do to bring more of those students into the JCC programs?
One of the things that JCC has done for a long time and done very well is our College Connections program in the high schools. So we have a presence in almost every high school in Chautauqua County and Cattaraugus County. So we're offering courses.
Okay.
There are changes going on. One of the larger changes in terms of the programs, we're going to start talking about programs in the high schools, because we typically talk about the courses themselves.
Right.
We need to change that conversation and begin to talk about the programs that we offer, and begin to get students to think about those programs while they're in high school. To begin, to understand that it's not just a collection of courses they're taking, but they're putting themselves on a path towards something, perhaps a career in business or healthcare or one of the several other areas that we offer with our programs.
And now you have, when we talk about your courses, you have the Academy of the Police, like you get started for the Police Academy, Criminal Justice.
We have a criminal, yes.
And so, and I know that there are students out there who talk about it. And I've actually met with a couple of young people, and they said, well, I think I might want to go be a state trooper, or maybe I should do this, and maybe I should do that. And I've said, go to JCC. They've got a great criminal justice program. So these are things that maybe we could work through our police department even.
Sure.
Yes.
We offer a lot of options. The beautiful thing about a community college and JCC is it's okay if you're not sure what you want to do. We'll help you figure that out.
Okay.
So come and get started with us, and we'll help get you on the right path. That complements your skills or aligns with your interest and where you see yourself wanting to be once you finish your college education.
So you actually do some counseling,
We
some
do.
steering.
Yes, we do.
Now you talked about being with JCC for 8 months. Tell me a little bit about your background, your history.
Well, my career in community colleges began in 1992 at Genesee Community College. So I've been around for about 25, 26 years before coming back to New York. So I started at GCC. I left, now I'm back. And obviously back as a president, but in between, I spent about 10 years at a very large community college just north of Detroit, Michigan, Macomb Community College. And then I spent about 9 years before coming back to New York at one of the largest community colleges in the country, at Tidewater in Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay.
So I've had some great experiences working at large, urban, smaller, suburban, and rural community colleges before coming back to New York.
What have you, since you've been at JCC, what have you looked at, and what are some of your goals? What are some of the goals for the upcoming years?
Yes, so I get asked that question often, as you can imagine, and we are in the we're at the point now where we're beginning to put our plan together, looking out the next 3 years, and there are 5 or 6 priorities that we're focused on. One of them is our program mix. We've done very well historically helping students who mostly want to come to JCC for their first 2 years and transfer on. That's great, but that's not the whole story in terms of what we could and should be doing with our program. So one of the changes that we've already begun is to focus more intently on the needs of our employers and matching up programs and trying to bring students on pathways that are going to help meet the vacancies that we've heard our county executives and others talk about. Then in general, there are at least 4 areas I think we need to spend some time looking very closely at. 1 or 2 of them we have in the past. We're going to look again. They include agribusiness. I was a bit surprised coming back to this part of New York that JCC hasn't done anything in the area of agriculture. I think there may be opportunity there, so we'll look at agribusiness.
Certainly.
Clean energy is another. There's some work going on around solar and wind. We could be perhaps offering programs in those areas. Culinary and hospitality. New restaurants coming into the area. This is a tourist attraction, as we know. We do have a brand new program that's working through the process, a tourism certificate that should be ready this fall. Our board has approved it, and it should be ready to go by then. And the last area is robotics and engineering.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, so we have our manufacturing technology institutes, which are great, but I'm not sure as I interact with the employers that what we're offering in our MTIs, I'm not sure it's going to meet the needs of the future workforce in this area.
You know, and we talk so much about our future workforce, and there was a time, I know, when, you know, if you had to go to college, you had to have a 4-year degree, you had to have a graduate degree in order to get ahead. And today, what's happened is we pretty much, when we come to our technology area, that's where we're hurting. That's what we need.
That's a very good point. In fact, you know, we sort of have brainwashed, I think, the general public into thinking that you need a bachelor's degree to get a good job and have a career. That's not true. We offer 65 programs, and I would say 25% of those programs are programs that can be completed in a year or less that lead to a good paying job. And if you choose that path and want to come back at some point, all of that work that you've invested will apply. You don't lose any of that work. You don't lose any of the courses, any of the credits. All of that applies to another program that we have that would be an associate degree.
You know, that's amazing. And of course, now we have a Phoenix coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that you're gearing up for that.
We are.
And I know that there's a workforce program or partnership that Jackie Patterson is working
Mm-hmm.
on.
Mm-hmm.
So I know those things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And we have BOCES.
Yes.
So there's a lot happening in the area that what it sounds to me like that you're really targeting, and I think that that's good. Mm-hmm. We need to do that. We need to target those areas. And you talk about the tourist industry. This area is becoming a destination.
Yes.
You know, with everything that's happening, and I know that people say, well, you know, downtown needs to be built up. It does. But there are a lot of little areas that we've got the comprehensive plan going. So what it sounds to me like what you're doing is really phenomenal. Tell me a little bit about, as we go through this whole transition, if you will, which is what it sounds like that you're beginning to do. You're doing this little transition with your 3-year plan. Do you see that there is support for that through your administration and through the cities and the county?
Yes, there is widespread, strong support, which is very encouraging to see. Internal to JCC, we've had ongoing conversations around the priorities. We know who's got responsibility for what as we begin to put the plan together. And that's been the case outside the community. I've been sharing these priorities at the county legislatures. I've been sharing them at meetings with the Rotaries. Any meeting where there's an opportunity to share and talk about the college, I've tried to take advantage of those opportunities. And when I do, I get a very warm, strong reception. I get very positive feedback from the community about the college and how supportive they are of what's going on and committed and the energy around some new initiatives. It's encouraging to see that.
Right. So when we talk about the curriculum, you said that probably a good portion of it deals with the programs that could be completed in less than 2 years. What are some of the curriculum, what is the one thing that people come to you and say, do you have this? Can you teach this? And the one focus that the curriculum, is there one thing that it's focused on right now?
No, it's not. Well, not one subject area, but there is, in terms of that future direction, there is
like a degree program.
Yeah, there isn't a single. We don't get a request for single degree programs. We hear some general input, like from the manufacturers. There are some specific things they want. Phoenix is a good example. Phoenix has, because of the nature of their work, they're involved in the biotechnology types of things. We have a biotechnology program. But there are training aspects that maybe are unique to Phoenix and maybe a handful of other companies that we aren't offering that we would help create or find a way to support. Some of their work in the clean energy or the clean lab environment. There's almost a science around robing and how they prepare to work in the clean lab. That's not something we know, but we need to get to know so we can support Phoenix. So that kind of thing occasionally comes up. We're in those conversations, and we'll do our part trying to figure out how to address a need if we don't already have that ability in our curricula.
And now you also have quite a few reciprocal programs with other colleges and universities. So
we
that
do.
Explain that a little bit. What does that mean to the parent or to the student? Because I know that if they graduate at a certain level, they can go to JCC and there's a reduced cost or no cost, and then they can move on to another university. What are some of the reciprocal programs that you have?
Well, we have a very good transfer website, so that's probably the best source to go to learn more about this. What you find when you go to that site is we offer at least 400 transfer agreements around the state and outside the state of New York, so students can start with us, finish their associate degree, choose where they want to transfer to based on where we have an agreement, and make a smooth transition from JCC to wherever it is they want to go. It may be Fredonia, it may be St. Bonaventure, it may be University of Buffalo. We've got agreements with all of those institutions, and they vary depending on the subject area. It may be business, it may be somewhere in the health professions, it might be in the social sciences. Really a lot of options there. But what we're doing now, though, is sort of taking those arrangements to the next level. You know, the transfer agreements, the 2+ dues, everything you take with us goes with you. You transfer in as a junior and finish out your junior or senior years. They're pretty normal now. What we're trying to do that's different is put something more enticing in those agreements for our students. So it's not just a clean transfer from JCC to where it is you want to go, but a deeper connection. So for example, with SUNY Fredonia, we have this program called Destination to a Dream. In that transfer arrangement, it provides the opportunity for the interested student to potentially live on campus at SUNY Fredonia while they're taking courses at JCC. And we have a similar arrangement with St. Bonaventure, where students who know they want to go to St. Bonaventure, they can live on campus at St. Bonaventure while they're taking courses with us.
So will they take courses from both places?
It depends on how we structure the agreement. Some of this we're figuring out. So in one case where we want them to take courses with us so that they're ready for the work at SUNY Fredonia. In another case, they may have the opportunity to take courses at both.
So really it's kind of a getting them comfortable in the university environment.
And giving them access to what it's like living on campus, whether that's participation in athletics, clubs, use of the facilities, the library. They have access to all of that. So it's not, and they're doing that before they transfer, so they get a good look at what to expect and learn their way around. They get comfortable in that university environment. Frankly, that's been one of the problems sometimes with students transferring from a community college into a university setting. It's so different.
Right.
It becomes a challenge to make that transition.
Right.
So these kind of programs smooth that along and make it a little bit easier.
But now JCC in Jamestown, they actually have a campus. They can actually live on campus in Jamestown.
We have 3 locations. We have the North Country Center here. We have a campus in Olean, and we have the campus in Jamestown. But Jamestown is the only location where we have residence halls.
Are you planning to change that at all? Are you considering doing anything like that with the other campuses?
Not at this point, no.
Okay. Now tell me, if one is a parent of a young student, maybe a sophomore or junior here in Dunkirk, at Dunkirk High School, and the student has really good grades, there's a way to get into JCC and they don't have to pay tuition. Is that correct for the first?
We offer what's called a USA scholarship, and we've offered this scholarship for 40 years. And essentially what it does is if you are in the top 20% of your graduating class, the scholarship will fund your education at JCC.
For 2 years?
Yes, the 2 years that you're with us, yes. And it's been one of those fantastic programs that we've had for a long time, and now what we're trying to do is figure out how do we build on that. I mentioned the manufacturers earlier. We've taken that concept of the USA scholarship and we've created now what we call the Workforce Readiness Scholarship. That scholarship is focused on the manufacturing programs specifically that we offer in the Manufacturing Technology Institutes. So those students who are at BOCES, in some of the vocational programs, or in the applied technical high schools, we've created a path for them to pursue a certificate or a degree specific to the manufacturing sector.
So and I'm not one, but as a parent who has a child, the goal is get good grades, study, because you can get your associate's degree for free.
That's right.
Which is phenomenal. So JCC really is doing a service, providing a service to our residents and to our young people.
That's right.
And then you have the reciprocal program so that if they do well, then there may be other grants or scholarships
And as you pointed out earlier, they save a lot of money in the process. So at JCC, 1 in 2 individuals who graduate leave with no debt.
So
1
that's
in
like
2 leave with no,
50%.
yes,
So 50% of the JCC graduates leave
with
debt-free.
no college debt. That's right.
No,
Isn't that amazing?
no student loan.
No student loan.
We should have had that.
We should have.
Well, that that is phenomenal. And then they can go on if they get, and of course if they're in the program where it takes they only need 2 years or less, then they're set.
They are.
So
It's a smart choice to start with us.
so
Even if you don't know what you want to do, we'll help you figure that out.
So we need to get that message out to our parents.
We do.
Pay attention. Listen to what we're saying. That is
Well,
really
I should
phenomenal.
mention getting the message out to parents. One of the things that we are piloting last week and this week, we are out doing what we call an Orientation to College Parent Edition. We're doing 4 of these, 2 in Cattaraugus County and 2 in Chautauqua County. So one of them is going to be at Dunkirk High School, I think tomorrow night.
Okay. Now, what does that entail?
What we're doing is we're inviting parents in, high school parents, to come in for, it'll last approximately an hour, and we'll basically share with you the ABCs of what it's all about to help your child get into college. How do you apply? What aid is available? What programs do we offer? And then any questions that we can help answer so that you're informed as you can be about what it is JCC has to offer. So it's specifically targeting parents in the high schools.
So the parents can actually, can actually go there. They can find out what's going on.
Yes.
And now, if a parent should miss that class for some reason, what should they do? Should they call JCC? What is it?
We have a help desk, so you can always call that number. And
Okay.
once you call that number, you'll be directed based on your question to the correct office who can help answer your question.
Okay, so they could call the help desk at JCC and find out what's going on and how
yes.
they.
Yes.
So, and one of the things too is that our children today, our kids today, they're never sure what it is they want to do or how they want to do it, and they don't want to do this. They want to take a year off, and you hear all the stories back and forth about what works and what doesn't work for them. So we need to find a way to energize them. We need to find a way to get them interested in the opportunity of going to college. What is your typical course load? So how many classes would they need to take for the first semester or second semester? What are the credits that they require to graduate with an associate's degree?
A typical associate degree is about 60 credit hours. And the way we lay it out for a student to finish on track within 2 years, you take that 60 hours and basically divide it by 4, a fall semester and a spring semester. That would be 12 to 15 credit hours per semester, start to finish.
And generally the classes are like 3 credit hours per class.
Generally speaking,
So
yes.
like 3 to 4 classes per semester.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's pretty easy peasy.
It is, and
Yeah.
the time goes by fast, so it may seem like a long time, but it goes by very quickly. And remember, we also have those 1-year certificates, so if you're not sure, if 2 years seems like a long time, you can get started with one of those certificates, have a certificate at the end if you choose that that's where you want to stop, and if not, all of that content applies and you have approximately half of your associate degree.
Right. So you can start out saying, yeah, 1 year is enough for me. I just want a certificate in this. You can go for the first year, change your mind, and you haven't wasted your time. That still builds towards your associate's degree.
Yes.
And you also have classes that are not just during the day. You
That's
have
right.
evening classes.
We have evening classes. We also have online classes. And we have more and more students who are taking online classes. That's an advantage for the Dunkirk Center because the Dunkirk Center isn't a full campus. It's essentially a gateway to the programs. But a student doesn't need to necessarily drive to Jamestown or Olean to finish their program if the courses they need are offered online, and many of them are.
So there are all kinds of opportunities for our students.
Yes.
They can go during the day, they can go in the evening, they can take classes online. They can start out with a 1-year certificate, complete that, and roll all of that over. If they're in the top 20% of their class, graduating class, they get to go for free.
There's
I mean,
a lot going on.
there-
You mentioned the younger kids earlier. We have younger kids on campus all the time. This last weekend, we had 50 Girl Scouts on campus, sharing with them the opportunities in manufacturing, in media arts, in the sciences. That kind of activity is going on all year long on campus.
Well, and you also have kids college.
We have kids
In the
college
summertime,
in the
and I-
summertime, that's right.
You know, and I've actually taught some of the classes at kids college, and they're amazing. These children are amazing. So, and that gives them the idea of being on campus, even though they might be, you know, learning about, you know, raining meatballs or
Right.
whatever it might be. You know, they're there and they're in the college environment, and they can say, I went to college when I was 9 years old. And
they remember that and hopefully
Yes.
come back.
right.
Yes.
So JCC has a lot to offer our students, a lot to offer our community, and we are just so happy to have you here. What other kinds of things have we not covered that you think are important?
Boy, I'm sure there are things I'm not thinking of at the moment. I would like to say that I'm really happy to be at a place that is so committed and caring. We've got a great faculty and staff. The community is fully behind what we're doing, and that makes a big difference
Right.
in why JCC is such an exciting and a good place to be.
Right. Well, yeah, it's always nice to have your team behind you. Well, we're excited to have you here. I love JCC North. I've been to JCC South, but I think that this is a great place to be. Our students have every opportunity. There's no reason to say no. Our parents have every opportunity to enroll their kids, to get them moving. And you know, on behalf of Mayor Rosas, he sends his regrets. Today's just been a busy day. Otherwise, he had planned to be here. So thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. DeMarte. Thank you for coming. Please continue to watch City Speaks. If you have questions, comments, concerns, send them to me, Vicki Westling, at City Hall, 342 Central Avenue, Dunkirk, New York, 14048. Send an email, vwestling@cityofdunkirk.com. Call me directly, 716-363-6888. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want. If there's someone that you think you might be interested in, you want to see them on City Speaks, give me a call and let us know what you think. And thank you for watching City Speaks.